Hey Glams, welcome to Glamour and Brains. I'm your host Aja Yassir. This show features all things beauty, fashion, and business. I'm going to be bringing you all things glamour. And of course, with glamour, you have to have brains. Are you ready to make as much money as you want from the comforts of your home or from anywhere in the world? Well, join the Simple Beauty Naturals family by starting your own Simple Beauty Naturals franchise. Make incredible unlimited income with natural vegetarian skincare products that won't kill you. Simple Beauty Naturals is the gold standard skincare and cosmetic system, and our franchisees are gold standard certified beauty consultants. Go to www.simplebeautynaturals.com to apply to be one of our franchisees. You deserve to live the life you want. And now, today's episode of Glamour and Brains. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I am Aja, and I have a very special guest in the studio with me today.
Peace, everyone. This is Yassir. How's everybody doing out there? We're going to have a good time tonight.
As you all know, if you've listened to the previous show, my team this month, my Simple Beauty Naturals team, is reading the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Pat Lencioni. So everybody's getting into that. But because we just finished All-Star Weekend, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to talk about leadership styles and how they compare to some real coaches. Because, I like that old school basketball back in the days of the bad boy Pistons and the Chicago Bulls when Michael Jordan was just a young lad, and Pat Riley. So we're going to be talking about that. Whose leadership style do you resemble with your team? Is it Pat Riley? Is it Chuck Daly? Is it Phil Jackson? And I really wanted to bring my husband into the show today with me because we were talking about, the 5 dysfunctions of a team was comparing team leadership and having a business team to having a sports team. And the reason that they are so similar is not only because they have to work cohesively in order to achieve goals, but they also have to achieve a score. And it's also a winner and a loser. It's based off of the score. And my husband, we were in a car and you said something that I thought was profound. And I said, okay, we need to do a show together. He's looking at me like, okay, what did I say? But what did you say? You said the team doesn't care about disagreements as long as
you're winning. We were in the car listening to ESPN radio, and they were just talking about, some dysfunction in the team and, problems between players and coaches and different things like that. It's a saying out there that says winning cures all ills. So basically just saying that, whatever, you're on a team, you're in a company, you're in a business, whatever it is. Well, let's just say, you're on a sports team. You're on a sports team. If your team is winning, you're at the top. If you Golden State right now, who's just killing everybody. If you Golden State right now, you don't really have much to be mad about. I mean, whatever little disagreements you may have, it's a small thing. You dominating the league. Your playoff spot is guaranteed. It's only probably 2 teams. It's only like 2 other teams in the NBA right now that could maybe do something with Golden State. That's the San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I really wouldn't even say the Oklahoma City Thunder. I really only say the San Antonio Spurs. So they winning right now. So whatever little disagreements or spats they have, it's really a small thing when you win. So it's the same thing, when you in business, partners with somebody, you might have little disagreements, little spats. But if everybody's getting money, then that's a small thing. If everybody's getting money, usually most things can be worked out, because getting money in business is the same thing as winning on the court or on the field.
You mentioned the Golden State Warriors, the San Antonio Spurs, and who are these other people?
I also said the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Look, I'm from the old school. I don't know anything about basketball if they didn't have a starter jacket. So I don't remember the Oklahoma City Thunder. Is this a new team or something? And I hate to sound like, is this a new team?
Well, yes, the Oklahoma City Thunder is a new team. Actually, you're talking about starter jackets. So they actually were a team that I'm sure you'll probably remember. The Oklahoma City Thunder actually were the Seattle Supersonics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Sean Kemp. Remember Sean
Yeah,
Kemp?
yeah.
Gary Payton?
Okay.
Okay, right.
Okay,
So-
now see, okay, let me tell you why I only really like the old school basketball players. Because these new players are weak. Yo, they not fighting. Like I can't. If you go to a you go to a game, they not dropping balls like Ewing and I mean they weren't anything to play with. Jordan, I was actually at a game when Jordan was limping and still shooting and sweating because he had the flu. That man played through anything. But now the players are like, oh shoot, I broke a nail. I can't go play today. What's up with that? What happened?
Well, I definitely think there's some truth to that. That's a discussion that me and my brother have pretty often. You know, my brother's a few years younger than me. You know, it's a 7-year gap between us. So I grew up with the teams of the 90s, you know, the Bulls and the Knicks and, you know, all those teams. My brother, he came up more in the 2000s, early 2000s, up till now. He's a little more understanding, you know, than I am. I definitely do remember that time because, of course, that was the time of my youth, so to speak. That was the league when I was playing, you know, when I was playing outside in my front yard. Yeah, the league has changed. You know, it's you know, the rules have changed. It's some players now that are like all that I'm not sure they would be that good.
No,
You know, back then.
except LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron is gonna be good in any era. He's one of those type of players. Kevin Durant too. It's some players playing now that would be good no matter what era you put them in. You know, the rules have changed and the league is definitely a softer place, you know, than it was.
The only player I know is Tim Duncan. Is he walking on a cane yet?
No, Tim Duncan is actually still, you know, doing very well. I mean, you know, for the past few years, he's only been playing like 20 some odd minutes during the regular season, and his minutes go up in the playoffs. You know, one of the coaches, we're not really going to be talking about him tonight, but Greg Popovich, the coach of the San Antonio Spurs, he's definitely, you know, one of those legendary coaches as well, and you know, he preserved Tim Duncan.
All right, so let's get into these leadership qualities of Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, and Chuck Daly. What would you say are the attributes of these three wonderful, wonderful coaches?
Chuck Daly and you know, those Detroit Pistons teams, I don't know a whole lot about Chuck Daly and those teams. I know that Chuck Daly actually ended up being the coach for the Dream Team. So if anybody knows, you know, doesn't know who the Dream Team is, the Dream Team was the first American professional basketball players to play in the Olympics. Prior to that, the United States couldn't have their professionals play in the Olympics. It was just college players. But all the other countries in the world had their professional players play. Eventually, you know, America got to send, you know, their best. Every other country was sending their best players to the Olympics. America wanted to send their best players to the Olympics. So that's how you got the first Dream Team with Patrick Ewing, Clyde Drexler, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Scottie Pippen, Karl Malone, John Stockton, all these guys, David Robinson. And it was actually, speaking of Chuck Daly, it was some controversy around that time because Isaiah Thomas was supposed to have been on that team, but he wasn't. A lot of people think that it was because of Jordan, because they didn't like each other. and Jordan didn't like him. But also, too, Jordan had that profile at that time. But Chuck Daly ended up being the coach of that team. You're going to talk a little bit more about Chuck. You know a little more about him than me. Now, I do know, of course, Phil Jackson and Pat Riley. I know Pat Riley from his days as the Knicks coach, because the Knicks and the Bulls had that rivalry in the early 90s. That was some of the best times. Those were some really good games. From what I know about Phil, Phil Jackson was known to be a player's coach. And a player's coach is basically somebody who is not so much on top of the players, is a little more laid back and kind of lets the players coach themselves, versus directing them so much. So that was a little bit more of Phil Jackson's, style. Also, Phil Jackson, he's a little different. He brought some different things to the table that a lot of the players weren't familiar with, but that, they appreciated.
Like reading?
Reading, definitely. Yeah, he had the players read. He would give them different books to read, different books on leadership, just different books. He was into Zen Buddhism, so he would take them through that and have them doing some of the Zen stuff and the meditation and breathing and, things of that nature. But, the thing with Phil was that he got Michael Jordan on his side. Basically, when you get the confidence of the best player on the team, the leader of the team, everybody else is going to follow suit.
Yeah, I want to kind of go back to Chuck Daly and piggyback off of what you just said when Phil Jackson started to get Michael Jordan on his side. I remember when Michael first came to the Bulls, the Bulls were scared as hell of the Detroit Pistons. I mean, they would be shaking in their boots like, oh, shoot, and we're getting ready to play these Detroit Pistons. And I think that Phil had to bring Jordan into his world. Jordan was very arrogant when he first came on. I think that's why he understood Kobe. He was extremely arrogant. But kind of going back to what you were saying about Chuck Daly, Chuck, he was really about the team. He was about uniformity. I'm going to curse you out, do whatever I got to do to get you all playing this game. If you start pissing me off, I'm going to call a timeout and just go to the sidelines, and I'm just going to look at you and then send you back out. He was really about uniformity, and a little bit different than Phil Jackson. I think Phil Jackson, he is about uniformity, of course, because he's a leader, but he's also about individuality and also about letting those individual players shine. Not saying that the Detroit Pistons didn't shine individually, but there were certain things that Phil Jackson let people get away with that Chuck Daly wouldn't have gotten away with. Before we started the show, I was mentioning Rodman. Chuck Daly had him in check. There is absolutely no way Rodman would have been wearing red hair and a dress anywhere if he was still on the Pistons team. But Phil Jackson was more into that Zen individuality. I'm going to let you read a book and you're going to go meditate about it. But he's a hardcore coach as well. What about Pat Riley?
Pat Riley, I also like too. He was the coach of the LA Lakers, of course. He won I believe 2 championships there, 2 or 3. I know he won 2 back-to-back, but he may have won 3 with L.A. And so, he coached Magic Johnson. He coached Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy. That squad that they had in the 80s that had those battles with the Boston Celtics. And they had some battles with the Detroit Pistons, too. And then, he became the coach of the New York Knicks in the 90s. It was an ESPN special that I saw some years ago where they were saying that LA Lakers, the whole Showtime thing, because that was during Pat Riley's time too, that whole Showtime era that Magic Johnson ran, that was more of Pat Riley's alter ego. And that really wasn't who he was at his core. The New York Knicks teams that he had more so represented who Pat Riley was. Kind of a hardcore, just grimy, kick you in the face. We're gonna knock you down, and we're not gonna pick you up. Everybody else is on the outside. It's just us here. This is just a very tight knit unit, and everybody else is an outsider. That's basically what Pat Riley wanted to communicate to that team. He also carried that same type of approach, more or less, to the Miami Heat. When he went to coach the Miami Heat, he's been an executive and a coach. Well, he's been an executive for more time with the Miami Heat, but he coached them for a few years too, and he won a championship with the Heat. When Dwayne Wade was young, Shaq was there. Shaq got his last championship with the Miami Heat. That was, again, Pat Riley had a very tight-knit group there. They weren't as rough and tough and grimy as the Knicks, but that was still a very tough team. Pat Riley also coached the Knicks during the time they had Alonzo Mourning and Tim Hardaway, and I remember that was a very tough team as well. So Pat Riley was a very tough coach. I've heard that his practices were crazy. They said that his practices would be like, they would run you out of there. If you weren't, a player that was going to go through that. His practices would run you out of there because he was very much about being prepared. Pat Riley felt that if you trained hard and practice, if you practice hard, then the game would be easy. So that was his idea behind that.
And what kind of leader do you think you are when you compare yourself to these three people?
I would say more Pat Riley.
Oh, yes, you hit it on the nail. You hit it on the nail. I thought you were going to get up here and say something else. Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely say more Pat Riley. I definitely like things to be a certain way. Yeah, I would say Pat Riley. I mean, I definitely do think that, preparation is important. I think that it depends on your personnel, too. One thing that I think is key, whether you're a coach or a leader or whatever, is that you have to understand your personnel. Meaning you have to understand, who's on your team, right? You have to understand the different types of personalities that you have. You have to understand who's going to respond to certain things and who's not going to respond to certain things. What things are going to turn people off, what things are going to motivate people. Now, at the same token, everybody's different, and and at the end of the day, everybody's only going to be who they are, right? So even if you have, like, for example, let's say, okay, we talking about Pat Riley. So let's say Pat Riley got a player on his team that, he's just soft. Chances are that player is not going to play for Pat Riley. Chances are that player is going to ride the bench. And it's just going to be a conflict there because Pat Riley doesn't have the type of personality to get what he's going to need to get out of that player. And that player doesn't have the type of personality to perform well under Pat Riley's system. So those two people just need to separate. That player needs to go to another team, or Pat Riley needs to coach another team. It's been talk. It was talk over the years when Phil Jackson was coaching, was that he just inherited some great teams. When Phil Jackson got to the Bulls, the squad that won those first three championships, 91, 92, and 93, that team was already assembled. They already had Mike. They already had Scotty. They already had Horace Grant. They already had these players. They already had, BJ. They already had these players. So that team was already set. And Phil just had to come in there and make that work. After the Bulls, of course, he went to the Lakers. But they got Shaq. They had Kobe. They had Eddie Jones. They had Nick Van Exel. Now, Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel are players that were not, superstar players. But I remember it was one of those early 2000 years where all four of them went to the All-Star game in the same year. Shaq, Eddie Jones, Kobe, and Nick Van Exel. So Phil Jackson had some great teams. So it's always kind of been talk when you comparing Phil Jackson to a Chuck Daly or a Pat Riley, is Phil Jackson really as good as we think he is? Because he just inherited these great teams and he was able to just manage those personalities.
But because he inherited those teams already, he had to kind of tap into their personalities. He didn't choose these people. So that might have been great too for him to come into a team that was already assembled and say, okay, now, even though you already are a team, you don't know me, I don't necessarily know you, we're going to make this happen. I don't know. I think I'm more like Phil Jackson. You made fun of me earlier because you said I am more like Phil Jackson. But I think as I grow as a leader, I think I'm becoming more like a Pat Riley mixed with Phil Jackson, where at Simple Beauty Naturals, our franchisees always have this. It's an intense preparation that they go through in order to be a franchisee with our company. But once they are in there, I give them books, and it's just basically you're an individual and you need to bring your own personal style to that. And I know you always say that I'm some kind of new age parent. So I'm a new age parent to our children because I'm like, okay, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, let them just be them. Let them just be them. Me, I'm more like, sit your ass down.
Yes. I agree. I definitely agree. Do you think you can be a mixture of all three? I'm not saying that I'm not like Chuck Daly, because Chuck Daly, now this is somebody who, of course, I wasn't on the Pistons team, but to me he seemed so mean. But the bad boys seemed mean anyway. That was just their personality. So I don't know. I don't think I'm like Chuck Daly, but do you think you can be a mixture of all three of these coaches?
I think that you can have aspects of all three, but I do think that one personality is going to dominate. But you could definitely, have some aspects of all three of these coaches in your leadership style.
And we talked about putting a team together briefly. Do you think that you should put a team together based off of your own leadership style?
I think that you should put a team together based off of your own leadership style, but at the same time understanding where your it depends. It depends when you're talking about a team, because if we're talking about a business organization, you got different levels of that, right? You have the person that's the founder or the CEO or whatever, right? But then you also have people who execute or oversee different parts of the organization. So when you're looking at your management staff or your leadership staff, then in that case, I think that you should look at your strengths and weaknesses. Yes. So if you're looking at a leadership staff, you want to hire people who can fill in some gaps that you may have, in your personality or in your leadership style. They can fill in some gaps and kind of pick up the slack.
I definitely agree with that, because I think intuitively a lot of leaders, they go out there and they try to pick people who are like them based off of their own strengths. And I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. You need to have people on your team who are strong in your weaknesses. You shouldn't be in a position where you feel like you have to strengthen your weaknesses. You can waste a lot of time doing that when you can just strengthen your strengths and bring in people who are strong in your weaknesses. What happens, do you think, in basketball as well as in business, when you have team members who don't necessarily align with your leadership style? I know you briefly talked about it with who were you mentioning? I don't remember. Yeah, Pat Riley. People who don't necessarily blend with your leadership style. What happens? What happens to your business organization if that happens?
Your business organization, is going to falter, and it's going to sputter if you don't have people that are aligned with the vision, right? The vision or the culture. Matter of fact, it was I was watching, NBA TV has this great program that I really like. It's called Roundtable. They got like Ernie Johnson, the guy from TNT, Grant Hill, Isaiah Thomas, Chris Webber, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith. So, and they up there and they bring up all these different topics and they, discuss it. So one of the things, they had Isaiah Thomas on there, right? And one of the things was Isaiah was talking about culture. He was talking about the culture of a team. right? So he was talking about the culture of the team is so important. He was like, the culture of the team is like everything. He said, and everybody on the team has to buy into that culture if you're going to be successful. He's like, if you got people on the team that are not buying into the culture, then it's just not going to work for you. So it's the same thing with the business organization. You know, you have to, if you're going to be successful, you have to have people there that buy into the vision or buy into the culture. Okay, this is the way we do things. This is the brand that we want to communicate. This is how we want to present ourselves. You know, if you don't, then it's going to be some problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to be talking about culture, or we're going to be talking about culture on some more episodes, especially as they relate to direct sales companies, because I think that is a big issue with network marketing companies. Culture. You have anything else to say?
Yes. I do have some things to say. Now, you have some nightly calls going on right now, right?
I do have some nightly calls.
Okay. You know, I definitely want you to get on here and talk about that, because really doing a lot of big things with Simple Beauty Naturals right now. We're really opening it up to building a team. You know, and we want people that are going to come in and support the culture of Simple Beauty Naturals. But before we close out, I think it would be good for you to speak a little bit about what type of culture you want to create with Simple Beauty Naturals, and definitely talk about these calls that you're doing nightly.
Okay, the calls are Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 o'clock p.m. 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the number to call in is 712-775-7031. That's 712-775-7031. And the access code is 548-892-851. That's 548-892-851. You should definitely be on time, because I am like Phil Jackson on these calls. I give it to you, and then you have to kind of get it. So just get in and get on time, because these are short calls. When we talk about the culture of Simple Beauty Naturals, our foundation of Simple Beauty Naturals is all about pampering, making our customers feel wonderful, making ourselves feel wonderful. So that's the base of our culture here at this company. And of course, all of our franchisees are very dedicated. We don't have a company where people jump from company to company to company, because we do instill the culture. We do instill information on our brand. We do instill that pride. Our franchisees are very proud to be Simple Beauty Naturals franchisees, and they are also very self-motivated. Very self-motivated. They come up with ideas, they implement those ideas. So those are the type of people we're looking for, and it doesn't matter where you are. Come on over and listen to our calls and get on board.
Excellent. Great job. Thank you for having me on, honey. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Mushy. Great. We had a great all-star show. I really appreciate you for coming on, taking time out of your schedule. He's a sales person. He is the classically trained salesman.
Anybody out there that's looking to get in the business, get some money, create an independent lifestyle for yourself, be sure that you're on these nightly calls. You definitely want to be a part of it. It's a great company, great products. We're about to take the world by storm. Peace.
Are you in network marketing and having a hard time at least becoming a six-figure earner? Well, check out my book, Secrets of a Six-Figure Earning Network Marketing Diva, on Amazon, and read how a single homeless mother started from nothing to becoming a six-figure earning network marketing superstar. Secrets of a Six-Figure Earning Network Marketing Diva by Aja Yassir, on Amazon. Thank you to all our glams for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Also, go to glamourandbrains.net and join our mailing list to get lots of freebies and leave me comments. Also, visit www.simplebeautynaturals.com for all your vegan cosmetics and natural skincare needs.